Meet Dennis. He's 82, he lives in Gloucester and has support every day from a home care organisation. The home care organisation uses person-centred reviews to find out what's working for people, what's not working, and what they want in the future. At Dennis's person-centred review, he talked to Lucy, his social worker, and Julie, the team manager. When they asked him what is working, Dennis talked about his friendship with his neighbour and visits from his family. When they asked him what was not working, Dennis said, "Staff talk over my head. I feel like a package and not a person." And he also said that he got cold when he had a wash. He was washed in a cold bathroom because his carer got too hot. When they talked about what Dennis wanted in the future, he said he'd really like to get a monthly steam train magazine and to visit his daughter in Weymouth every year. Lucy, Julie and Dennis thought together about what needed to happen to change things and came up with a list of actions. One action was writing down in detail how he wanted to be supported in a one-page profile, so that all of the staff who supported him could use it, support him consistently and make sure that the bathroom was always warm enough. At the end of his review, Lucy asked Dennis for the top 2 things that were working for him, the top 2 things that weren't working for him, and the top 2 things that he'd like to see in the future. She shared this information as part of the 2-day Working Together for Change workshop. Working Together for Change is a way to take information directly from people like Dennis and to work together to inform strategic planning and commissioning. It's used alongside other data sources to inform integrated commissioning as well. There are 8 steps to Working Together for Change, and this is how it happened in Gloucester. The first step is prepare, and this means agreeing how, when and where you want to use Working Together for Change. In Gloucester, the Commission and providers wanted to learn how home care was working. Stage 2 is collect, to gather the information from person-centred reviews and, like Dennis, take the top 2 working, top 2 not working, and top 2 that people want to see in the future. Working Together for Change is essentially about co-production, and the third stage is theming this information, involving people who receive support, commissioners. In Gloucestershire, it also included the Older People Association and the providers as well. Stage 4 is to work together to understand the root causes of what's not working. Stage 5 is to identify success from different perspectives. Stage 6 is to plan, to look at what's already happening and what else is needed to move towards success. The next stage is stage 7, and that's implementing the action plan. And then finally, stage 8 is reviewing the progress made from implementing the action plan. Let's look at how this worked in Gloucester using Dennis's information and information from 15 other people who use the same home care organisation. Before the first day, all of the information was anonymised and written on different coloured cards. Red cards for what was not working, green cards for what was working, and blue cards for what people wanted in the future. In the room with the facilitator were the commissioners, members of the Older People Association and the home care organisation as well as other people who use services. The facilitator started by looking at the green working cards. She read out each one, and the group decided which cards were similar and what to call them, identifying a range of themes. Everyone then had a chance to comment. There were a wide range of positive, encouraging themes, suggesting areas that were working well for people. They then repeated the exercise with the red cards, and there were several other cards with similar issues to Dennis's. For example, people said, "Staff talk over my head. People assume that they know what's good for me and how I like things done. They don't know how much I can do for myself and do it for me because it's quicker. I have to say the same things over and over again." The group decided to call this cluster, "I'm not treated with respect or as an individual by my paid carers." There were 4 other clusters of what was not going well for people. The group said this information was not new, but felt so much more powerful seeing it all together in the older people's own words. Next, the group clustered the blue cards that looked at what people wanted in the future and found people did not want to do extraordinary things, but more everyday experiences like going out, meeting people, taking a holiday, or starting a hobby. That completed stage 3, which was clustering the information, and the group then went on to stage 4, which was looking at the root causes of what was not working. People worked in teams of older people, commissioners, providers and care managers and looked at possible root causes. Lucy was part of the group looking at the I am not treated with respect or as an individual by my paid carers cluster. They developed a list of why they thought people might not be treated with respect, and this included paid carers might be too task-focused and not outcome-focused. Paid carers might not be matched to older people and have things in common. Paid carers might get poor quality training and supervision, and the information is not recorded for carers to use. So that group came up with a list of possible root causes about why people weren't treated as individuals. Then they went on to step 5, which is what success would look like from different perspectives. Each group shared with the other groups, and they thought about what success would be like for older people, for staff and managers if they could address these issues. What would older people say if they changed things for the better? The group decided that older people would say, my carers listen to me and understand what's important to me, and I look forward to my carer visiting me. The staff supporting older people and their managers would say, I get good training and support. It's easier to respect others when you are respected yourself, and I have all the information I need. We have written information about what matters to the person and how best to support them. Each group did the same process for their not working cluster and wrote it up on a poster, calling it What Would Success Look Like? The next step is actually making the changes to deliver this success. They looked at the roles of commissioners, providers, care managers and the Older People's Association and thought together about what each group could do to work towards this success. The Older People's Association offered to work with providers in the recruitment and training of staff. The providers looked at what they could influence and thought about possibilities with care managers. They committed to things like recruiting staff more locally and matching staff to older people by developing one-page profiles to describe what matters to each person and how they want to be supported. They would then use a matching staff process to get better matches for staff and individuals based on hobbies, shared interests, as well as skills. Staff could use their one-page profiles to introduce themselves to people they support. The providers also committed to reviewing how they supervise and support staff and to re-evaluate the training they provide. The commissioners took their information to a further meeting and put this alongside other data from other sources. From this, they made a range of decisions that included developing individual service funds for domiciliary care services to empower individuals to design their own support and express their preferences regarding care staff, and move to a more outcomes-based approach to commissioning domiciliary care services. After the 2 days, Lucy went back to meet with Dennis to explain what had happened and how his information had been used. The individual actions agreed at his review were having an impact. He had enjoyed working with Lucy to put together his one-page profile, and later he said he could tell that staff had read it. He said that he was warm in the bathroom now. He was having different conversations with staff and didn't feel like he had to keep repeating himself too. He was pleased to hear about the actions that the providers had agreed and hoped that this meant that it could change things in the short term for him and others in a similar position. The Commissioner's actions would mean that people would be less likely to receive a service where they were not treated with respect and as an individual. Dennis's story shows how person-centred information can drive strategic change in organisations and affect improvements in commissioning. Working together for change is a tried and tested tool that councils can use to ensure that the current changes in adult social care are co-developed and co-produced with older people and families. Working together for change improves the links between strategic decision makers and the people they serve. Dennis's person-centred review made a direct difference to his life, and using that information alongside other people, it meant that his experience could have an impact on the way that services developed and improved and the way that commissioners commission too.